Hello everybody, I'm David. I come from Argentina, from Buenos Aires. I work for a company called Contentful in Berlin. And soon I'll be moving there, so you won't see me in Latin America that much, but I'll be around anyway. I wanted to talk a little bit about something called software evangelism. It sounds really weird. It is very weird, kind of, so I'll try to put some light on it. So basically, what we try to do is come to heal you, brothers and sisters. Not really. We are kind of the spokesperson of the company, sort of what Steve Jobs did on their keynote. We come to try and talk with our communities, with our peers, and tell them to them what we think about stuff. So we are a frontman for our company, and we are between our product and developers. And we share responsibilities with many, many areas of the company. Between them, we do software, we do some marketing and publicity, and we do a lot of community work. So what Jennifer did, like in her talk before, we do a lot of that stuff, and it's awesome that you take care of that so well. We need those resources as much as we can. So to start introducing the things, first I'm going to talk about software. I'm kind of a developer, sort of something. I do some software development. I specifically do 4 things. I do a lot of SDK, a lot of tooling, integrations, and examples. Most of our work is to allow developers to actually do their work as best as they can. So we have to help them build their tools. That being, for example, in my particular case, I build the SDKs to use Contentful with Python and Ruby. I build integrations with, for example, Rails, static site generators. Now I'm working with the Django integration. So all that stuff. And we write a lot of tutorials, examples, and stuff I'll show in a little bit. So our role is to help developers get closer to our tools and to help you with anything that's blocking you from being the best that you can at your job. And one very important thing about everything that we do is that all of our code is completely open source. All of the SDKs, integrations, tooling, examples, everything, you can find it online, open source. You can contribute to it. You can help us be better and report us any issues or anything that you have. That means we have to keep excellent quality standards. Some of those are providing the best examples that you can to actually get started. In this case is the Python SDK, how to get your first entry. In this case, I'm using an example space and getting stuff from cats. My cat likes rainbows and fish. Then we have to, if this works, it doesn't. Okay, let's switch to keyboard. We have to provide useful documentation. A lot of our job is writing the best documentation that we can. This is the Python SDK. I have like tens of thousands of lines of documentation that I have to write. I really don't like documentation, but it's really useful for everybody. So we need to make developers happy. This is our most important task. Then, for allowing people to contribute to our code, we have to be very strict on code standards. We have to have a quality guide on how to actually write code if you want to contribute, and for us to contribute ourselves. I need to write following. In this case, it's a Flake8 example. It's a very common tool used in Python. Personally, within my Beam setup and the project setup, I just use PyFlakes. Not really Flake8, but this is the best example I could find with a nice UI. Beam doesn't have a nice UI, sorry. Then we have very comprehensive test suites. In this case, it's the one for the Python SDK I was writing. Sadly, the image got cut, but I'm showing the coverage tests and how deep we actually have to go. We have to provide the best test suites that we can in order for people to be able to contribute, like if they add something to be really helpful for them and for us. Then also inform about what we do. Everything that we code needs to be told to the public because they are actually using our stuff. Many of you here probably already develop open source projects and people rely on them, and it's really important to tell them if you broke something and on the next version it won't work for them. So we need to make that available, and we use a particular format called keep a changelog. Not everyone uses that, but it's the one that's working the best for us. Next, contribution guidelines. This is very, very important. You need to be very accepting to your community and actually allow them to contribute back. So you need to propose them ways to contribute and also explain them how to do it proficiently. One thing I didn't mention within my slides, but I would also like to talk about is code of conduct. All projects, at least for us, we feel it's very important to have a code of conduct. It's not nice to have a contributor that's an asshole. Nobody likes that. So we need to be very inclusive. We need to encourage people to actually work with us, and we want to do that the best that we can. And finally, within this stuff, we need to be very aware of licenses. We usually use what's mostly used within a certain community. We prefer to use MIT licenses, which is the case of this one. It allows us the most flexibility and for everyone to actually be able to use our tools. So we need to keep this in mind. So now that I'm done talking about my developer job, I'm going to talk about weird stuff. So I kind of do marketing. Really. I write a lot of blog posts. For example, a few months ago, we released officially the Rails integration, which is 2 gems in our Ruby ecosystem to allow you to work in a Rails-like way with Contentful. It's been a lot of work, and it's been awesome to be able to actually talk about that publicly and made it widely available for everybody. Then we write a lot of tutorials. This one I published, I think, a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. We want to allow users to use our stuff, make everyone aware. This is the best way to get started, like having a very simple step-by-step guide. What Jennifer was talking before, we need to provide resources for them to actually look at, and if they have any other needs, come back at us. Then we talk a lot in Twitter. I'm not the greatest at this. I'm really bad at Twitter, but I try to do my best. And this is the code. Sadly, the contrast is not that great, but that's some of the code you'll be seeing in my next talk tomorrow. And we do other stuff. There's a lot of things going on right now with Stack Overflow, Reddit, IRC, Slack, and all those other places where community builds together, and they are awesome. They are just too many to mention them individually, but they are great. And we give a lot of visibility to the product this way. So what happens, why are we actually important? Why is the software evangelist position important and not 2 different people doing these things? Because literally developers trust more in other developers' opinions. I wouldn't be trusting someone in the marketing area that never coded a single line of Python to actually tell me how to build my Python application. I want someone who has, like, I don't know, at least 2, 3, 4, 10 years of experience writing Python applications that is the one to be talking to me about how to make my Python application be nicer and better and faster and awesome. So we also help other developers to try our product. We are here to provide you like the best way of doing things. We are here to pump you up. So, like summing up this marketing stuff, we are here to help you find new use cases for both your product and our product, and how to make our stuff the standard in the community. And that brings me to the community, which I want to thank PyCaribbean and everyone organizing this to allowing me to be here. Without their help, I wouldn't be here, so thank you very, very much. It's been awesome, and I'm super grateful to be here. And we love listening to you. Software Evangelist, as I just said, try to participate everywhere. In every meetup, conference, we organize a bunch of things. We try to keep the community alive, and sometimes, they are abroad, and I came to the Caribbean. Awesome. So we seek to offer our product to the widest developer audience this way. We encourage growing the community, and actually we try to give back to the community as much as we can, because in the end, it also gives us a lot of visibility. I get to wear stuff that says the name of the company, and I get to hand you out stickers, t-shirts, and cool stuff, which I will do later. Like, you can come up to me, and I have a lot of cool swag to share with you. So what we offer is solutions in your favorite platforms and technology. So we need to actually know what developers are using. That's why we are so focused on community. So we want to help you do all this stuff the best that you can. And if in the meantime you can use our product, that's like the best thing. But not everything is about us. Luckily, in this conference, I'm really bad with names, but there's one of the maintainers of Django CMS. So not everything is about us, and we need to know our company. So yesterday and a little bit today and tomorrow, I'll be trying to pick his brains up to know how we can both try to share space and also feed ourselves from each other. So we must know our competition, understand our advantages and our weaknesses, how we can make a difference from each other, and how to actually provide better value. And there's one thing that you should not forget, is that you shall not bash your competition. We are not really here to speak ill. For example, in my case, I wouldn't speak ill about WordPress or Drupal or Joomla or Django CMS. It doesn't really make sense. We are all here to improve. I don't know, maybe WordPress or Django CMS came up with a cool API to do image manipulation. Awesome, we do that stuff, but it will be great to see how they make it so we can make our stuff better, and they also can feed from what we improve, and they can do their stuff better. So it's a very healthy environment. We try to actually keep this healthy competition going. So mostly, last but not least, our role within the community is to be an idea generator engine. We try to feed you small ideas for you to actually experiment, try new things. And we want you to feel inspired whenever we have a talk. This talk isn't about software, so I'm not really exposing an idea. I'm just talking about what we do. But I want to propose you something. As this wasn't a talk about something in particular, at least I want you to go back home and try to do a new open source project, contribute to some project that you like, or if you care about Contentful, maybe try doing something with Contentful. It's pretty cool. So I think that we have some time for questions. I wanted this to be more interactive, so that's why it's a little bit shorter. But I'm free to talk about evangelism with anyone, and it's awesome. You can read more in that blog that's created, I'm really bad with names, sorry, by a guy who used to be the Mozilla developer, the original Mozilla developer evangelist, then worked for Yahoo, and now it's the Microsoft Edge main developer evangelist. He's awesome. Most of these things I talked about are refactors of what he says. And it's been great. So if you have any questions, please raise your hand, and I'll be here And also I can speak both Spanish and English, so if you have a question in Spanish, I can translate it for everyone.
So you were talking about software evangelism in a commercial context, or supporting that commercial product. Do you think there is a role for software evangelism in open source projects, promoting open source projects? And how should we be approaching that?
Okay, so the question was, is there a place for software evangelism in open source, and how to do it? Definitely. There's a lot of open source evangelism going on. For example, the Mozilla guys are not only evangelists for their commercial ad stuff and all that stuff. They are very focused on taking Firefox to everyone. So, and all of their other platforms. So definitely, it's actually the most used form of evangelism in software. People just pitching a technology or a framework or stuff like that. It's, I think it has been very, very successful over the time. And like the ways of doing it are very similar. There's not really a difference. The only maybe difference is where the funding to do it comes from. Because in this case, I'm doing it paid by my company, not this event in particular, but most events. So if you have deep enough pockets, or if you have a foundation backing up your work, that's the way to do it. The rest of the things I said are completely applicable to any kind of project. Your product doesn't really have, maybe within the Python community, for example, there's a CRM called Triton. They have a few evangelists, and the Python Software Foundation and the Triton Foundation paid to them to actually give talks about how to use it instead of paid alternatives, for example, SAP. So there are many different ways to actually fund the evangelism work. It just depends on how you approach it. Okay, so thank you very much. Once again, I'm David. And